from my previous experiences, I thought of myself as an expert, as to, I could
Yeah.
give an interview, get selected. And my thinking was, I'll tell the interviewer about my story, he'll be impressed, and I can impress him with my words, and that is how I get a job. But then with your sessions, yeah, I realized, there was that fault in the thinking. He doesn't want to hear my story. He wants to hear.
Welcome everyone to this episode of 10x Career Leaders. In today's episode, I have invited a very close friend of mine, Nikhil Bonde. So Nikhil, welcome to this episode. And why don't you introduce yourself, in front of all other people as well who is just watching this, and give us a brief about your background.
Yeah. So thanks again for having me here, Vijay. I am Nikhil Bonde. Like Vijay said, we studied together in Udaipur.
Yeah.
Close friends. We shared hostel, so that connect. As for myself, I'm a mechanical engineer from Mumbai University. Did MBA from IIM Udaipur. I now have close to 8 years of experience, I'd say, across various fields. So it's been hospitality and consumer durables, retail, and mentioned hospitality, infrastructure, and currently I'm working in export import. So my current stint is as assistant vice president for business development and sales, and I'm working with a firm named ICHIBAN, or by the market name GM Trade Private Limited.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so can you tell how many changes so far you have done as far as your career is concerned, and if you can explain a bit about why did you decided to make those changes?
Yeah, talking about changes, there have been many. If I count, it's been close to 6 changes now.
Wow.
So far in duration of 8 years. So this is pre-MBA and post-MBA both.
Okay.
The reason in most cases was, I'd say I was not satisfied with the kind of work that I was doing.
Okay.
Mostly it was, I'd say my main driver for taking up jobs so far has been the salary.
Okay.
And while that was one positive that was there, the other part was lacking, which was job satisfaction. So that is the reason I kept changing jobs.
I think this is extremely important here. So I was at one of the conference, at a college in Pune very lately. So one of the students asked me, if we start changing jobs very frequently, wouldn't we be termed as job hoppers, and that'll impact our candidature in other companies as well. So I think it's an extremely important point here is that you have to decide between maybe 1 year of working at a company that isn't working out for you, and then shifting to a company where you think things are going to work out for you, or you stay in that company for 5 years only to realize that you had exactly the same amount of learning that you would have had just after 1 year itself. So it is an extremely important point that you need to kind of figure out. Yes, do not just change the job just for the sake of changing it. Have a solid reason why you are doing it. And if you think that you have a right reason for changing that job, there is no right time for it. If you think things are not working out for you, you don't have to wait for 2, 3, 4 years just because somebody said that you have to look like someone who is stable at the job. It's an extremely important point you have rightly pointed out there. Okay. So one question, can you tell a little bit about how did you come across ThinkSage, or if it has any kind of impact in your job search or your thought process, if you can explain a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I came across ThinkSage, I believe it was 2020.
Okay.
Don't exactly remember the year, but yeah. I was searching for a job. So again, like I said, I was working in a place, it was a good firm and everything was fine, but then I wasn't having that satisfaction of having made a positive contribution, or given something positive out of myself.
Okay.
So I was looking for a job. It had been almost 1 year of casual applying for jobs, but then it came to a point wherein I needed a change. It desperately wanted to do something better in life than just do that 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
So that is when I felt that, I've been doing something for this long and it hasn't been working. So, if someone that I know and trust has, developed something, or they have gotten the expertise in, searching for jobs or for career development, then why not try them out? If something doesn't work out, probably, reach out to the experts and do what they say. And it definitely made a change. And,
Yeah, absolutely,
I said in
absolutely.
my previous video as well.
So I think it is extremely important, thing that you just pointed out. So if you think that something is not working out for you, um, speak with someone. Speak, it doesn't matter. You can speak to any person you think that they have made the right decision for themselves, or they're the people who are expert in giving you the expert advice. Speak to someone. So if you're at a position, you're applying, but things are not working out for you, or you are in a place where you think that even if let's say you apply, you're not going to get a result out of it. If that's the case, then you should go out there. There are n number of people over LinkedIn. There are a lot of career coaches. There are a lot of, so this is the, so to be very honest, if I look at the kind of time we are living in right now, so this is the best time where we have the access of almost every kind of people out there with whom we can have conversations. We can talk to them, and we can uh, have that real one-to-one conversation where we can get to know that what exactly is the problem that we are facing and how do we solve for it. I think it's an extremely important point that you rightly pointed out. So one of the metrics,
Which is just, sorry, just one more thing. So I specifically wanted to mention this thing. As in the application process or the interview process, like I said, I was going through it for 1 year, and from my previous experiences, I thought of myself as an expert, as to, I could give an interview, get selected, and my thinking was, I'll tell the interviewer about my story, he'll be impressed, and I can impress him with my words, and that is how I get a job. But then with your sessions, I realized, there was that fault in the thinking. He doesn't want to hear my story. He wants to hear how I could benefit the company, and multiple other things that I went through with Prashant. And I realized that the things that I thought I was expert in, I was wrong in many ways over there. So that is also another way where I felt that the traditional way or the way of doing things needed to change somewhere.
Yeah. I think so. Whenever we are preparing for our interviews or maybe our job search, so typically, if I talk about 9 out of 10 candidates, we usually trust with whatever we have with us. And the problem with that approach is that many times what we think is perfect, as far as we are applying for a particular role, and what the hiring manager thinks are different, because what we think is like what is best for me, like where do I want to be, and what hiring manager is thinking is like what the company. So is there a candidate to whom they can hire which is rightly matching the requirement that the company has detailed out in the job description? So sometimes there is a mismatch, and it's really important for us to kind of go back and reflect and see whether what we are having as an aspiration is actually matching with what the hiring manager is looking for. So this is an extremely important point, because we are too much involved in ourselves, and we think that okay, we have got the right recipe to kind of go out there and do that, only to realize that oh, this is not something which the hiring manager is actually looking for. So that's something that it surprises me. The reason is that this is something that you're saying, because we so you have been from so one of the best colleges as far as the MBA is concerned in India. So it's a very important point to kind of keep the like heart and mind open, and then have the conversation with people that even if let's say I am 60 or 70% there, is there something that I can learn more from the people who are out there? Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So okay, so I have one question here, because you have done those frequent changes, as far as your jobs are concerned. Can you? So you don't have to answer this question, but if you can give, if you are okay with sharing this. So what kind of percentage change do you think that has happened in your CTC from the first job that you got from college to where you are right now?
I would really have to work out the math. But then I would say it's a 50% hike over what I got earlier.
Okay.
So that has been 50% over a period of 4 years, last 4 years.
Okay.
But then it has had what, 3 job changes? Yeah,
Okay.
3 or 4
So,
job changes in 4 years.
so one of the thing that I would kind of press upon here is that, so this, when you're saying 3 job changes, they are across the industries. They are not like, if I am in banking, then banking 1 to banking 2 to banking 3, and still. So when you are shifting from your industry, within your industry, from one role to another, there you expect greater hikes. But when you are changing from one complete industry to a different industry, either you go at a similar place, or maybe you take a little, so if you, or you take a pay cut because you desperately want to be there. So I think it is commendable that the way you rightly mentioned that although they were the industry changes, despite that you were able to get those hikes. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you give a very small information about, like, how much time people you think people should take from they starting to job search till they landing a job?
Uh, that thing I'd say is would be very subjective if I have to say anything.
Okay.
Because I've had job searches wherein I have found a new job within 15 days also.
Okay.
And then I've had job searches wherein I've been at home for as much as 6 months.
Okay. Okay.
So my job search has been very it has been a very varying cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But then in most cases, what I found is even when I was at home for 6 months, the job that I got, the actual process, it took not more than 2 weeks or so. So from getting shortlisted and interviews and everything, it changed within 2 weeks. So that is again, I don't know if I'm digressing from what you wanted, but then yeah, I've had friends and colleagues who were very frustrated that we're not getting that job. I myself was in that place. 4 months at home, 6 months at home is not a very good mind frame to be in. And out of all that frustration, things changed within 1 or 2 weeks. So that phase where good.
So I think a very important point. It is not a digression, I would say. It is a very important point from, I think, a couple of perspectives. One is that that patience is key. You don't have to lose your heart, because as far as job search is concerned, there are a lot of external variables. Because even if you are the perfect candidate, so there is a very strong chance that you might not get a call from the employer, because there are n number of people who are applying. There are very different kind of factors out there. It could just be the case that just before you applied, there are already 100 applications, and out of those 100 applications, the HR has already taken out 10-15 candidates to whom they are interviewing, and they found a good candidate. Okay, so your application just did not get the right chance, or so you don't have to. So those are the variables that you cannot control, because they are absolutely out of your hands. So you have to trust yourself, keep applying to wherever you think is the right place to kind of apply. So this is an extremely important point, like you mentioned. And second point that I feel, which I can derive from what you just mentioned, is the so you have to be an active job searcher, not just a reactive one. So what a reactive one does is that he start applying for a job when something bad happens, like a bad appraisal, or you are laid off. Then you start thinking, oh, maybe I need a job now, I should start applying. And when you do that, so the time period might be more, as in maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It could be the way you said, it could even be 6 months, right? So instead of somebody being just a reactive in job searching, they have to be very proactive, in the sense that go out, create a LinkedIn profile, network with the right kind of people, build a little bit of content, so that people know you, that, oh, you are the expert in that field. Now, if let's say anything happens, okay, and now you decide that you want to make a job change for yourself. So if you go out and talk to people, tell that, hey, in your company, this is the opening that I just saw. Would you refer me for this particular position? People will love to, because you are the one to whom people know that you are expert in that particular field. They would love to have you in your own field. So instead of being a reactive job seeker, be an active one. And the benefits of active one is that people love to refer you. And second, many a times, even the HRs, even the recruiters, they come back to you even when you're not looking for a job. So I'm just quoting a LinkedIn research. It suggested that 89% of the time, when the recruiters reached out to a person who is not actively looking for a job, and they asked them that, would you be open to have a discussion for a particular open position that is there in the organization? So 89% of those people said, yes, we would like to have a conversation. Right. So even if you are looking for a job, people are getting hired from those positions where they are not even actively looking for a job. And that can only happen for you only if you have a very active profile on LinkedIn or in one of these job search portals. I think it's extremely important point you just rightly mentioned there. Okay. So the last question, Nikhil, that I really want, because you are someone who has good experience in this. If there are just 3 things that you can share, and you would want other people to implement in their journey to get a great job for themselves, what will those 3 things be?
The very first thing, which we discussed just some time back, is it could be a very lengthy process. It could be it could drag out for long, but then it also changes very fast. You could be jobless for a long time, and then suddenly you would get that dream job or dream interview. So one thing is to always have that energy high. I know it's tough. I've been through it myself. It's tough to have a positive mindset, but it really does help because your mindset really shows through in your interviews, and I've had that face that. The second thing I would say is again a point that we had discussed before. The interview should be about your fit for the job. Absolutely. And I've made this mistake for a long time. It's not my story. It's not about how I'm great at something. It's about how I'm good at what you want to be done, or how I'm at a good fit at the job. So that is one thing that I'd say. The third thing I'd say is yes, unlearning helps. So having that mindset that this is the way I've been doing things, and this is what got me jobs in the past, and it should work now. So unlearning is very important. You have to change with times. You have to understand what needs to be done. No one is an expert, and things have to keep on changing. So that would be my 3 points.
Very, very valid point, actually. Especially in today's context when things are changing so fast. So one of the things that I felt, a lot of people have gotten success in past, at least in past few weeks, in past few months of we speaking with our students, is the way they were able to take their limiting beliefs off the shelves and replace them with the new things that are happening in current context. I think this is extremely important for everyone who is looking for a job. Thank you, Nikhil, for being here and sharing your experience. I'm very sure that it will help a lot of job seekers who are there connected with us in our community and looking for jobs.
Glad to help anytime.
Thank you.